Yo, so I think we definitely had to clear some stuff up because the forms of disrespect that's going on in the country, along with other things simultaneously, it's really affecting some people in a way that they think is funny. And don't worry, I'll be highlighting some names of some individuals you should stay away from because some of the things that they do in they think is funny. Now, with that being said, it is now 2:12 a.m. and many reports of many things that transpired from since Friday afternoon because today is Sunday morning. It's highly disturbing. And some people tend to think what's going on in the country is normal. In no format, form, or fashion is anything that's going on in Trinidad and Tobago normal right now. And furthermore, the suppression, oppression, and police state that we are living in. One of these things that they keep on pushing is segregation while pushing divide and conquer. I do live my life in fear. So all those assholes who usually comment on people comment sections and say all they're good, all they have court clothes, shows the definite difference between intellect, fear, Stockholm syndrome, and plain stupidity without patriotism. I don't live my life in fear, and I can highlight some police officers and ex-police officers who instilling that in people right now. I'm glad to be melanated. I'm proud to be of mixed descent. What I'm not proud of is people who are happy to push racialism. So with that being said, Emancipation Day 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago will never be forgotten for the disrespect, the lies, and the horseshit that these assholes are pushing. Now, the mere fact that you have to use bots to separate everything that's transpiring, to segregate the truth from the masses, shows that you all are definitely high-strung asses. So let's begin this. And I'm reading this now to hurt some feelings of some very unintelligent people, along with some racist people. Do you hear that, Mr. Rahul Mohammed? Do you hear that, Mr. Troy Mohammed? Do you hear that, Mr. Dale Rambaran? Do you hear that, Mr. Anand Tulsi? Do you hear that, Mr. Cocaine-taking Israel Khan? Now let's begin. There is no shared history between chattel slavery and Indian indentureship, except where Indians brainwashed the bribes of land, money, and alcohol into believing that Africans were uncivilized, untrustworthy, and overall to be avoided. In some people trying to compare the struggles, no, they can't compare, especially when one was voluntary and allowed the retention of one's culture and heritage, while the other is the exact opposite of all of that. Thank goodness we matured as a society and moved past all that crap. But the hoes that have educated people keep trying to fool the ignorant about the history of Trinidad. And G's and H's, what the hell made UTT and the Indian High Commission think it was prudent to host Indian celebrations on an African Emancipation Day? I did not stutter in any format. So, and also, I need to put in this input. And just to educate those of African descent a bit, the first experience to slavery in the Caribbean, West Indies of South America were the local Aborigines, including the Amerindians, between the foreign diseases, rapes, and other factors. They couldn't handle it. The Arawak population was wiped out in Trinidad, while the few Caribs that survived assimilated with the Africans. Only Africans faced chattel slavery. I'm saying slavery because I hate that word slavery. And in the transatlantic slave trade, and yes, the trade was assisted by Africans of rival African tribes who would actively capture and trade Africans to the Europeans. Some Africans in the Caribbean were even slave owners. I did not stutter. So it's interesting the things that transpired in the past 72 hours. But you know what really affects me? You see this stupidness that the University of Trinidad and Tobago, in collaboration with one arsehole, one major arsehole, the ministry, as in the Minister of Communication, who seems to be the minister of everything, along with his friends and his family. I'm going to read this official press release from University of Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain, via Napa. Right. The emancipation season, the University of Trinidad and Tobago, for you to experience a powerful cultural production, exploring the shared struggles. You heard me right. The shared struggles, resilience and triumphs of African emancipation and Indian indentureship. Who in fuck's sake wrote this shit? How stupid are you all really? That's why I want to name over Nelson Island and Rival Island, right? But let's carry on. Hold a second, there's more. Professor Cujo's acclaimed books will also be available for purchase, with an opportunity to meet one of the Caribbean's foremost scholars and have your copy signed. So I'm trying to understand now. Cultural misappropriation is one thing, but cultural shadowing, while we are a cosmopolitan society and there's only 44.4% East Indians in Trinidad and Tobago, is another thing. So, it's kind of interesting. I'm trying to cope with this horseshit, this unintelligence, this segregation that they keep pushing. So you want to get rid of one of the biggest traditions of Trinidad and Tobago, as in breakfast shed, and call it curry corner. Then you want to put a mandir 100 feet in length next to curry shed. Then you want to take away the name of Nelson Island and call it a rival island. Then on top of that also, your own words, I always hated Independence Day because it reminded me of the hibiscus flower, which I also hate. You know who said that? Kamala Persad Bissessa. You know what's also interesting? Everything that is scheduling for Emancipation Day is to push up your own accord. You disgusting pieces of shit are a different level of disrespectful. You know what's disrespectful? Is last year I really remembered the staff from TN Tech saying Barry Patriot was the most disrespectful minister they've ever had in the history. Come in there and say we're going to have this celebration for Diwali on this compound. And I'm going to have the most expensive outfit there, $40,000 for it. Right, with that being said, you wish to cancel emancipation. You arrest people for Labor Day. You have no Independence Day celebrations. This is a trend. On top of that also, in the past 3 months, you had nothing called a press release or anything dealing with the press. And so far, in the past few weeks, we have seen different boards that were assisted by Barry Patriot and his friends. Furthermore, if the communications company of Trinidad and Tobago is adhering to all this stuff that's going on with TSCT, also all these foreign companies that pulled out, don't you all see that we have turned into Haiti 2.0 already? You know what's really embarrassing? I call those names ahead of what I told you as in the information that transpired. And these fools somehow think the ape called Deep Voice, the patong called Rita, and some other interesting names and stuff don't have a brain and don't see what's going on. So let me tell you this also. All this stuff that's transpiring with the transportation, as I say, the transportation company of Trinidad and Tobago, why is all these lies coming out, and furthermore you're not even seeing the minister coming out in public? You didn't ask yourself that question? This week many things transpired behind the scenes. You can't protect the lies without firing the people who are spies. I said what I said. On top of that also, anytime you're spreading propaganda, this is a performance level of the CCP. Yes, China. China is also a divide and conquer specialist. If you spread enough propaganda, just like those dogs are barking. Did you realize in the whole video, no dogs were barking at all until I mentioned the facts? This is how negative works in life. It's interesting. Until you mention these things, things change, things transpire. But people don't listen at all to change. People always think things happen just by itself. Things like that don't just happen by itself. Things what transpiring right now is what they want you to see. And because of that, people try to get controlled. Nobody can control the individuals who have their own brain. So it's very interesting what's going on right now. People without their own brain can be consumed by people who try to propaganda and spread lies to the nation. That type of stuff is really different. Really, really different. And the thing about it, what's going on, if people still judging people with the ethnicity of Trinidad and Tobago, I just want you all to remember one major thing. Patrick Manning and Basdeo Panday were friends. Trinidad was the highest in production of anything manufactured in the Caribbean for more than 40 years. Think about what I just said. The thing about it, when I was going to school, bauxite was very important for Jamaica. Do you know how much liquid goods non-alcoholic Trinidad and Tobago produces? So henceforth, I'm going to tell you something that's going to hurt all the unintelligent ones, especially one called Apache King who has an Indian flag as his logo and like calling people the N-word. Right. I don't think that they even know what the word think means. So, it really hurts them when somebody actually have a brain and explaining things that going on around them. So Christian who owns this shop that traveled with Kamala a few years ago, I want you to take notice. I'm from Bath area, so you can't lie to me. Rishmi that got her name changed to head the SAS, you can't lie to me either. I know you very well. And furthermore, having dinners in Jenny's with so-called leaders, aka prime ministers and ex-prime ministers at the point in time did show. On top of that also, there's a man from Williamsville, let's call him Goat Fucker, aka Wife Beater, who gave himself silk. Sir, I know many things about you. And Mr. Ramdeen, I know many things about you also, because certain of your family members are my personal friends. You all tend to forget things, and it's showing up more and more. But the dementia from a certain prime minister is also showing up more and more. Yeah, I said what I said. So, looking intelligent and being stupid is a hell of a superpower I don't have. So, it's very insulting when a Minister of Communication literally uses bot accounts along with a certain imbecile that uses bot accounts in the form of YouTube accounts and TikTok accounts to slander my name, to slander Susan Lowe's name, to slander let's see, what's his name, Jason X. You know what's very insulting is that people are realizing it's a police state now, and a police state doesn't work for a country like Trinidad and Tobago, because there's places like Miaro, there's places like Chaguanas, there's places like Bataria that have a very mixed presence living together. What you all are trying to do is over and beyond ridiculous. And what you all are also trying to do is paint narratives that doesn't make sense. And over and above right now, media houses are disrespectful. Will you ever hear that Jackie steps down with her lesbian pushing agenda in TV6? Will you ever hear that Akash brings out stories without being politically scared anymore? Will you ever hear that the police service fires all these individuals who literally do extrajudicial killings and put them in jail? These are questions you need to ask yourself. On top of that also, what I also realized, and Trinidad didn't want to realize that also, Nicholas Sapp, I'm calling you out now in this video. Watch at me very well. I know your siblings. I know your uncles. I know people around you. Why are you pushing pity post in the media house? Why are you always promoting this next island's criminals on your front page? Why it is you promoting modern feminism for the longest while to sell papers? Also, why it is sexual atrocities done to a certain young lady who were never addressed until her mental was fucked because of things you did? Yes, you have an asshole who getting her cupcake sucked all the time from certain individuals. On top of that, also the next one who used to suck dick all the time, who likes to dress in cat suits and look disrespectful and have nothing mentally stable to say in the general public, was also a member of your staff. These are things that people watching, and trust me, there's another station that had a whole bunch of men sucking off each other on a certain street called Abercrombie Street side. Yeah, that's things that we need to discuss. These are the things that are affecting Trinidad simultaneously, and you all don't want to talk about it. Keep in mind, we have individuals whose salary is never late, and have individuals in Trinidad and Tobago right now that have no salary at all in any format. Yeah. Also, there are some people from certain churches that are living in England right now, and the former Minister of National Security is awfully quiet, along with certain credit union board members, awfully quiet also. Yeah. Think of what I said. I hate lies with a passion. So last but not least, what I'll leave you all with in Trinidad and Tobago, because I'm hearing too much things in the West Side now about a certain religion. So when I was younger, I remember distinctly some people came by the gate, and my mother was lying down on the bed. And when lying down, you know what she said to say? Yeah, when I walked back by the living room and pulled the curtain, Mommy said to say that she's sleeping. You all know what religion I'm talking about, right? Yeah. The more you train people to lie, and to have people not in the religion who have children for people in that religion, you can have a problem. And there's an old song, old song I love with a passion. We didn't start this fire. It was always burning, people never learning. Yeah. So with that being said, Trinidad and Tobago, I love you guys. Deuces.